What's that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, it's 8:10. We'll call the meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for this day you provided for us, Lord. We thank you for the wonderful weather. Lord, we thank you for all that you do for us day in and day out. Be with us today as we conduct the county business, dear Lord. Help us to make wise and decisions that honor you and honor our county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. We've got a fairly full agenda, I guess, but we're going to take all the time we need. So if you want to be heard, we'll make it happen. And the first thing on the list is for county personnel and public comment. Is there anybody here? Mister?
I think that's us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
I think it is.
You're right under here. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. I
Perfect.
had our treasurer, our appraisers here in the back. See, you
Oh,
got
he-
fighting, you're jockeying for
Oh, he's
position.
They're good, they're good.
Okay, we're in great shape.
Yeah, we're all kind of part of that, so
No, it's wonderful. Come on up.
perfect. As we met earlier, we are with Community Corrections and we are here to get approval of our comp plan. We have to do the comp plan every year. ADSC requires it. Our JCAB board has approved it. And so now we're just here seeking approval from you guys.
I don't know what questions you'll have with the comp plan. It's by its title, a comprehensive plan. It's what we have to send Kansas Department of Corrections to explain what our goals are, what our achievements are to be for the next year. It doesn't have any budgetary aspects to it. It has the percentage of success that we're to have, how we achieve that, what employees we have, what processes we have to do that. So it's a very lengthy process, and then every 3 months, every quarter, we have to update it as to how we're getting by. So we have to go through our juvenile correctional advisory board, get their approval, and we have to put the test as well. Sign off on it if possible. Then we submit it. It's exciting. Well,
I read. I think
good time reading. Exactly.
The adult said 75.8 and the juvenile was 100.
Yes.
So. I think
They could have made it with a juvenile, we spent a lot more time with juveniles. And so, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's impossible to not be successful, but I mean to be successful, but they want them to succeed, so. Yeah, we spend a lot of the time.
We have a lot more options on the adult side. Like that, to work with them. We still have sanctions on it.
Yes.
Sanctions on it. Used to have prison, short-term prison sentences, which we don't have that. But we do have, I got to do sanctions on the adult side, which give us a lot more time frame to deal with them.
Very high success rate according to the state. I mean, we're still on that echelon. For what everybody is, so we do a great job.
My question for you is, so your grants total $916,000. And so. Kind of ask the judge as a student, what could you do? What can we do as a society to cut your workload down? So we don't have so many offenders, I guess, at one time. Have you ever thought of that? I mean, I don't necessarily expect to answer right off, but
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I wish I had a good answer.
Yeah, I'm not.
Over 30 years, I'd love that.
right,
Unfortunately, I think there's always going to be a level of crime. Regardless, we only deal on the adult side, we only deal with felonies. So everybody that we deal with, that's the prison sentence, as a whole prison sentence. And so long as it's practiced to try and combat recidivism, you're going to have us. to try and keep those people from going to prison and, or returning to prison. We rarely get somebody that's first time offender. We get people that have been in prison 2 to 3 or 4 times, before we're trying to, change their way of thinking and their way of acting. I don't have a good answer for you, Bill, but I do think it's a good question. Absolutely.
You know, maybe poverty, maybe social economics,
Yeah.
all those things. There's just a lot of reasons why people,
Education.
you know, crimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Opportunities.
And just see that law enforcement and this adds up to a lot of dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
And then go to court, walk into a courtroom and think about how many dollars you spent.
In fact, over the years, the average age for offenders now, most of our offenders are under the age of 25 versus.
You're right.
It's really changed. Our offenders are younger
Right.
than what they. Yeah, with course, that in the past, huge change, used to show the last few years.
Our juveniles are also younger.
Yeah.
You know, so you're right.
Need to think about that a little bit.
Yep,
Yeah, for sure.
fair enough.
Bill's a deep thinker.
You might have to go to the legislature to ask that question. I'm not sure we know the answer.
I have a question, but I guess more boring than his. It's just, so looking at grants, it says it's 400, I'm just on the adult side. I had the number and it's 475,000 each. And then you said you added up, it's 916,000, but there's indirect cost, an allowance there. What does that mean? And my question specifically is does the county, is Brown County, this is just a state grant, so we don't put any money.
You put no money into corrections.
Okay, so I don't want to throw anybody a curveball. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. So we do have our courthouse security unit. One of the reasons we have that is for a lot of stuff having to do with this.
Sure.
Sure.
Can that be seen as an indirect cost with the state? Could we recoup some of our costs for that? Since we put it in, so part of the reason we have it here is for that function.
That's a great question. I know there's a lot of community corrections across the state that have security, not like that, the bigger places, you know, we don't have.
Specifically in their office.
Yeah, in our offices, when
Where they check in, you have possible plexiglass or something like that.
they have to be buzzed into the.
I think our answer to you is probably gonna be, we're gonna have to ask somebody. higher
That's
up.
fine.
Yeah, I think it's a valid question. I don't have a good quick answer for that at all. It's not something I foresaw. so.
If we would have put in bulletproof glass or extra door locks or something, that would come out of grant.
Yeah, part of our indirect costs, we have cameras in our office over there, so that we can watch each office. You come in, you check in with our administrative assistant, the doors are normally locked to try and get to the other areas.
Sure.
We have cameras for each office, which makes sense. We have had, we deal with a segment of society.
Sure.
That is there for a reason.
Yeah, my only question, I mean, really, and
I understand.
if it's a possibility, I mean, you would think about that really.
Yeah.
Have the state help us out.
Sure.
And then I guess one more question. So we have this organizational flow chart here, and my name is in the upper left side. And I just, what,
Because you're the governing body.
Right,
of
right. So in our relationship here, what does that exactly mean?
Basically, you want to explain?
A lot of what we're doing here.
Okay,
So we have to run a lot of our stuff. When we when we get our budget from the state and stuff like that, we have to come over, we spell it out for you guys, we send you the paperwork. You get to see how we operate. Same with the comprehensive plan that we're doing now. It's a checks and balances.
It is.
That's what our JCAM, they're advisory board for us. It's county attorneys, law enforcement, stuff like that. They just want to make sure we have levels of checks and balances, and that is your role as well.
If we have to move money and do the budget stuff out, then we'll come over and get your approval as well. Other than that, we kind of just stay over there. We haven't had any issues or problems, and so, if there is one, then be sure.
It's kind of an oversight.
Yeah, it's just kind of a advisory. Governing board, that's what it's.
In most cases, we have never had to fully, we'd approve them, we've never had to make any major decisions, but if they change. The lead, change personnel over there at the top, and we're involved a little bit, but
Right.
for the most part. It's their funding, they have their own funding. or passive or something. Or
That's a great.
they're under, we do their payroll too, they're under our payroll. We do their payroll.
That's a great way to put it. Yes.
Just following the dollars here again, we see our county clerk is your administrative county financial officer. If it's a pass-through, do we recoup any costs for her time?
I've done some research on that because I've been questioning too, and I heard that as well. I'm guessing you get the interest because it comes, you know, so you'll get the interest on, so as far as paying her directly, no, but you're gonna get the interest on it. Because we don't have any money. Just
Okay.
because people that-
So one of the things we find, and of course, I'm a short timer here and learning, we have a lot of, we are a collection agency for the state of Kansas. And we get to do a lot of the legwork, but we don't get in.
Oh, yeah.
We don't get any, any help. I guess, financially. So if there's any opportunity for us to work with the state and if you can count this as an indirect cost, that just makes our, our lives a little simpler and we can get the state of Kansas to pony up a little bit. So,
I understand.
okay.
So since you brought up about security, so the court services, how are you connected with them or?
We're together but separate. So court services is state, Lord County. And so they operate under the OJ, Office of Judicial Administration. We operate under Kansas Department of Corrections. We do have a lot of similarities. We even share offenders is what we call it. We share offenders and stuff, but we really are as a whole separate. However, like I said before, I've done this 30 years now and we're getting closer and closer and closer to compliance. It's discussed every year at the state level. I do think it's going to happen sometime. I don't know if I'll be here at that time, but I do think that we'll end up combining sometime.
I guess going into courthouse security, I thought it might be nicer if they were in a different building.
So say that,
But they were in a different building,
right?
so.
I know, see, we were, to understand, and he had said he was a short timer, we have been in this building multiple times before.
Okay.
We actually had an office downstairs at one point in time, then we had another office over here. We just find it a lot easier. I have an office in Marysville. I handle Marshall County, Nemaha County. I have an office in the courthouse in Seneca, an office in the courthouse in Marysville. But oftentimes, as Bill is talking about, it's almost easier. There's pros and cons to both. It's nice for court, for me to be able to walk directly out of my office, go to court, and I don't have to set it there. But for a security standpoint, and specifically for drug testing and stuff like that, it's a lot easier to have a standalone office. Because none of you want to walk in while I'm doing a drug test on someone. And it's tough to find in a courthouse an area that's just for that specific purpose. And so I know where you're coming from, whether court services, you would not be bringing that segment of the population all the time.
Right.
Thereby not having.
But on both sides, they do it here too. They do it every. They go to court far more often probably than you do on a daily basis.
Yeah. So we don't deal with the district magistrate judges as much except on our juvenile side. We deal, the adult side, myself, Dan, Stephen, Morgan, Jamie, we deal with the district judges because they're handling felony cases. So like you said, day to day, I'm not in court as much, nor do I care to be. A lot of downtime, but court services, it's there daily.
I have a question. Thank you for your.
We'll get you an answer. We'll check and see if there's any possibility of that indirect or if anybody's familiar with that. It's a question I've never heard.
Anything else you'd like us to know?
Just need your signature.
Okay.
And this is just what we had sent, so, I mean, if you can look at the whole thing, and I can just have you sign.
Don't need a motion.
Oh, you do.
This is the adult, are we approving both the adult? and the
The
juvenile?
comprehensive plan and the
Yeah,
juvenile
this is the
comprehensive plan.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the fiscal year 2026 adult and juvenile comprehensive plan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, motion carried.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys letting us And then you should-
Can we sign it today's date?
Today would be great. Thank you.
Does he need to sign?
Nope, just-
Just me? Sorry.
Nikki has to. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You bet. So will we be in contact at all throughout the year? Do you come back?
We come over here,
We'll come the end of our fiscal year.
Okay.
Sometime in July.
and then it's stated if we ever have anything where we have to. Move or change some funding,
Uh-huh.
we have to come over here, depending on the level of what we're.
Okay.
To get approval for and stuff, so you'll see us frequently.
Well,
Unless you guys have any questions and some of this, we'll see probably in July.
Summer.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
You as
Yeah,
well.
have a good rest of your week.
We shall.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Thank you.
You bet. We have about 4 minutes before our next scheduled agenda item. Can we make it in 4?
Can certainly try.
Okay.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Handout here for you. This, this is just kind of an update on where we are in our office. Our change of value notices went out on Tuesday. These totals here are reflective of what went out in the mail to the taxpayers. As you can see, overall, we had an increase in appraised value of about 5.18%. However, the assessed value actually dropped by 1.6, mainly due to ag land, dry crop ground went down about 15%, I think. So overall, at this point, we're just a little up over 1.25, about 1.25 billion in appraised. And is there any questions that I can answer for you on that?
3 minutes.
Okay, all right. The other thing that I had to mention is that our neighborhood revitalization program is expiring this year. That's not something that my office deals with. However, I wanted to make sure you guys were aware so that you can bring it up to whoever. I think it's something that normally may be written with Kevin involved since it's kind of a legal thing. But it does expire at the end of this year. So we want to kind of make sure we're on that.
You recommend them doing it again, renewing it?
What's that?
Is it renewable or is it your?
It's been renewed several times from what I can tell from all the paperwork I have going upstairs. I think that maybe they're, you just may want to look at it to see if you guys want to tweak anything in it. So, other than that, I think that's all I really have for you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all right, thank you guys.
Okay, is there any other public comment or comments from staff? No? No? Seeing none, would you like to move on? We got a minute? Peter? So,
Morning.
hi, how are you?
Good,
seeing
how are you? Good to see you too. Good morning.
Thank you.
So I'm just here this morning. I met a couple of you at our annual policy meeting in December, which is fun. Met Lucas and Bill, and I'm not sure where you did as well.
I was, but then I ended up coming back a little bit early because of the work.
Okay, well, I just wanted to follow up with you guys and I'm just kind of circling around approaching people for membership. We would love to have your county as a membership, as a member. Since we've talked and since we held our annual policy meeting, I know the NEC issue was a big concern here, and I'm sure you've heard the news that Kansas has been eliminated from the final route, which is a good thing. However, there's other things that we're working on that I believe we could bring you value. In fact, I brought copies of our NEC policy, if you guys want to see some of the work that we've done as an example. So in the light of the administration change, especially, we're kind of using this time to push the needle forward and develop additional policies. This is kind of where we've started, and that's our KNRC policy. There's also a resolution that goes with that the county has adopted. And it can still be used, but we have a water conservation policy that we developed in response to Quivira. You guys heard about Quivira at the annual policy meeting. We're getting ready to engage in some coordination meetings with that. So what KNRC does, and I don't know if you were in that part of the meeting or not, but what we do is we educate county commissioners in what their authority is. And we were actually providing training. Did you guys stay for the training that we offered in the afternoon? I can't remember, you did. Okay, that's right. So we're offering training through Center for Self-Governance. The classes are like $25 to $50. And we're doing it every Thursday night. So if you guys are interested in joining, you're certainly welcome to join that. We're going to be announcing that in a newsletter coming up here next month. But we recently provided testimony at the in Topeka. They had I don't know if you're familiar with the House bill that was in committee. They wanted to create a conservation fund for $60 million that would come directly out of taxpayer money. And the conservation fund had no oversight. And so I submitted public testimony, and then I wasn't able to be there that day, but one of our members, our treasurer, Marcus Rutherford, read the testimony, and I had a couple of representatives contact me because they were curious to know what we thought about it and what, they were concerned. And they said, Tracy, you need to get somebody here to read it. You can't just submit written because they're not educated. Like, it bounced between the ag committee and the budget committee, and then it went back to ag. And they the representative, I talked to 2 representatives, and they said, unless you guys come and read it, they're not educated. And so thankfully we had somebody on site, and basically the crux of it was that the term conservation has changed. It used to be defined according to the 1985 Food and Safety Act, which said conservation means we're going to restore the land and we're going to keep it productive. But in 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act changed the meaning to be about climate change, cattle emissions, and controlling how farmers do their job, which isn't always a productive thing for farmers and agriculture.
So they literally changed the definition.
They did. They
On
did.
paper in some federal moment.
It's in the Inflation Reduction Act itself. And so when that happened, all of the conservation programs adapted to that same definition. And so when you hear the term conservation now, they're referring to that definition, but in our mind, we're still referring to the 1985, and that's where the disconnect comes, especially in legislation. So what KNRC does, we monitor the federal government, especially, but also we work at the state level when needed to protect our counties with property rights. So we're looking for environmental, we have 3 purposes, and commissioners have 3 purposes. Your job as commissioners is to protect the health, welfare, and safety of citizens. KNRC is looking at the economic impact of changes that are being made in the agencies. We're looking at natural resources and the human environment. And our job is to bring balance to those 2. And that's what we use coordination for. So the agencies, as they move forward with their plan, we work with Fish and Wildlife Service, they're working to protect wildlife, but without the county's involvement, we're lacking that balance of protecting the health, welfare, and safety of our citizens. What else can I tell you? We've been doing a lot. In the last year, we've also worked on an EPA issue that has the potential of shutting down a lot of meat processors because of a water filtration requirement that they're working on. That's still moving forward. We're getting ready to send a letter to the EPA, new EPA lead. We're also in the process. I had a commissioner call me just this week about the vice president's comment at the state PAC meeting where he was talking about energy cost. And he said that farmers can pass the cost of energy down to the end consumer He's like, we gotta correct that message right now. That is not legitimate. And so we're gonna write a letter to the vice president and as well as, the Department of Ag and Brooke Rollins. And so, the other thing that we've done as an organization, we've developed contacts with, policy experts across the state or across the nation who are doing the same thing that we're doing. And we've got a great network of people that can write the policies, that can, educate us on the things that we need to know. And what we're seeing is, what I really like about being connected at the national level is we're watching what's happening in the West, because it's slowly coming across into Kansas. The West has public lands. Kansas is 98% privately owned. But according to the things that have been written by the government, especially during the Biden administration, that are still moving forward under the radar, is the 30 by 30, the desire to control or conserve 30% of the US lands and waters by the year 2030. And that's evidence of what just happened in Topeka 2 weeks ago. That's hasn't been voted on yet, but that we provided testimony for. So the services that we provide as an organization to our county members, we monitor the federal government. So anytime there's a change in the agency, they're publishing it on the Federal Register. So we have someone monitoring the Federal Register every day. We also are engaging on state level issues. As I mentioned, we provide substantive comments. So substantive comments are how we educate the public record, so that if, like with the NEEDC, if they had continued to move forward in phase 3 with Kansas, we would have submitted comments showing errors in the conflicts in the different acts of Congress that they're violating. One of those is an act of federalism, taking control away from the states and pulling it into the federal government. And then we would have called all those things out in our comments, educating the public record. And then if needed, we could have relied on those comments in a future lawsuit. The other thing that we're doing is we've engaged in some of these issues. We'll take them to DC when we have an opportunity to. Last August or April, I went to Washington DC and raised awareness with our federal representatives and asked them to work on everything as well. So I don't want to keep talking. What questions do you guys have? The ambulance membership dues is $5,000. And with that, the other benefit is having a collective voice. So when we submit our comments and when we go to Topeka, when we go to DC, we can say we represent a third of the state, we represent a half the state. Not we're not there at a half yet, but that's our goal. And every time we do, there is voice, there is power in numbers. And so as counties stand together, we're bringing that voice where it needs to be, a lot for state.
How is other counties around us, in the counties around us?
That's a great question. You know, our organization started in the southwest part of the state with the Western Prairie Chicken issue. And so I can tell you today is my first time in Bradford County. I've never been up here before. I'm going to Omaha next, and we're scheduled to meet with Potawatomi County as well. I think the furthest east in the north part of the state is probably Ottawa. And then we've got several in the southern, southeastern part of the state. So we're just working our way up here because we have been, and I live in the southwest part of the state, so it makes it hard to get up here. But yeah.
So don't let our lack of questions throw you here. I'm just trying to, so a group like yours, you spend a lot of time reading, following policy, looking for things that I guess we call along. I guess how does, so as county commissioners, you know, we actually have a bit of authority when it comes to, our home, our county. So how do you interact? Say you find something, whatever it is. I mean, how does that call go out? Call to action or something like that? You know, what do we do? Do we band together as 30? If we join as 33 counties, or do we attack it individually? What happened?
Great question. Yeah. So when like I said, when we submit comments, it's on behalf of all 33 counties.
Okay.
When we submit testimony, it's on behalf of all of our counties. If it's a project like NEEDC, where it affects 22 to 23 to 25, however many counties in Kansas, depending on where that map, it wasn't very well defined. We join all those counties together and we engage in a coordination effort.
So say it was the Lesser Prairie.
Mhm.
Are we involved in that? Or are we like,
Yeah, you would be, I mean, like all of our counties are listed in the law state, yeah.
Right.
You're cited, but in terms of engagement, it would be based on which counties were specifically impacted.
I know the wheels are constantly in motion, and I know it's hard to keep up with policy. And I mean, you really, my curiosity is up, because you said they changed the federal government with the Inflation Reduction Act. The definition of the term conservation
Mhm,
is no longer the same as it used to be.
mhm,
And so that's one of those, I mean, I'm gonna use the word insidious things that when I hear conservation, I think
mhm.
my definition of conservation. But I need to read the policy in a whole different light now.
Yeah.
That's right?
Yeah,
Okay,
in fact, if you're interested, I'll email you the testimony that we submitted to the.
sure, I'll read it.
Legislature.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
I'll
email
read
you. I have no doubt that. Okay, great.
So that was the same law that changed the, allowed the ITC to go through. Wasn't it?
It was, yeah, it was, yeah,
That's part of it.
yeah, it was the Inflation Reduction Act was written during the Biden administration after the 14008 executive order, where he clearly outlined he was going to conserve 30% of the US lands and waters by the year 2030. But I think that's one of the big benefits that we offer, is that we're monitoring, and we're in the process this year of setting up a text program, so that when things happen in Topeka, we can just text you directly with a link, and so call your representative, here's what's going on. Or we have an opportunity to, go to the CPC or whatever, we'll keep you notified. We've been doing it by newsletter. We typically put out a newsletter and or have a webinar every quarter. But I feel like having a text program that directly notifies you is gonna be more beneficial. All the commission, what we struggle with is every commission meets differently. Some meet twice a month, some meet every Monday. It's all different. And so if I send everything to the clerk, there's a delay in getting it to you. So we're looking for a way to get it directly to commissioners immediately when it happens, especially with calls to our representatives. Any other questions? We would love to have you as a member.
It feels, with the change in administration, at least as far as property rights, it feels like we can take this NITSE thing was huge. I mean, that was right through our backyard. Do we have, is there like a point in time here where you feel like you can can we make some changes that are permanent?
That's what we're working on. We've got inroads with some national level delegates. I guess one of the concerns that I have, and this is, somebody asked me this the other day. The way I'm looking at the current administration, you've got Elon Musk doing his thing, and it's drawing a lot of attention, right? It's kind of like the WWF of people's attention are here, but what's going on in the back door is Doug Burgum is the lead of Department of Interior. If you look at his history, he's from North Dakota. He is really good friends with Bill Gates. He's all about energy. So we've got to, and they don't have a voice. The concern is, and I think Margaret shared this at our policy meeting, there's no one with a voice in the ear of our current government talking about property rights for the West or even for the central part of the state or the nation. And so we've got to watch it, and we're working on developing relationships with Rollins and a couple of others at the higher levels so that we can make some change. Have an opportunity to go to PC in March and meet with a committee on natural resources. And so I'm hoping to things work out and hoping to make that happen, just so we can develop relationships and get some permanent things in place. So that we can relax a little bit. We're not there yet.
So how does KNRC, how does you interact with ag? Beyond property rights, and do we get into pesticides, herbicides, things like that?
Only when it, and when we need to. what we're looking at, like, we monitor the Endangered Species Act, so I don't know if you've heard about the monarch butterfly, that was recently. The proposed listing, but they were gonna come out of almost the entire nation as being endangered. And so the danger for Kansas is that they're now planning to protect habitat of butterflies, you know, if you're in agriculture, or not, but. The butterfly feeds on milkweed, and so the only pesticide that kills, Sericea lespedeza is one that also kills milkweed. So if they take that out, you know, you're gonna have a bunch of noxious weeds that are growing up in the crops and, you know, that production. So in terms of that, yeah, we will, we will get involved.
Lespedeza is the problem in CRP.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, what kills Lespedeza with smoking milk.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're watching that too?
So we're watching that too.
Oh,
Appreciate what you're doing. I think it's important that we keep track of what federal government's doing.
Thank you. I thank you guys for coming to the meeting in December. We appreciate that.
sure. Things were a lot different in December.
They were, yeah.
Okay.
But they can turn around
Absolutely.
very quickly, go the other way too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and there's still things that are moving forward in the agencies that are outside of, yeah.
Did you leave a copy of, you know, so we're gonna kick this around.
Sure.
Is there a copy of the, contract, I guess, or an affiliation agreement? Is there anything like that?
We actually don't. It's an annual membership. I
Okay,
can send an invoice.
that's all it is. Okay, that's, I just wondered if there's something we should read. Okay.
And there's information out on the website too, with more information.
All right. Right on.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Nice
lot.
to meet
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah, thanks for coming from Garden
Very
City.
patient to meet you. Actually, I came from London, but.
All right, all right. Well, there you go.
long trip.
Yeah, that's still a long.
It's, yeah, I enjoyed your,
But-
glad you had a hotel in town. What'd you think?
Senator Sheriff Department. It's very cool.
Oh, I bet so. Yeah.
But your main office is in Garden City. Is that
Our
right?
mailing address is there, that's where our treasurer,
Okay.
picked us up, yeah.
Okay,
Our original office is there. And I moved Morgan, so.
okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay. All right, well, I guess we can. Next item on the agenda is at 9, so we'll move ahead through some of these other items. Let's go to the minutes, if that's all right. Jim,
Make the motion to approve the 2/18/25 minutes.
Second,
okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the February 18th minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried. Mr. Paul, did you have something? to do?
I was just wondering if Tammy had something she wanted to bring up now or. Okay,
We've got 12 minutes. If you want, we'll get you in here. So you,
Bid opening.
okay, we'll wait. We'll wait.
At 9:39, she did that. So.
Okay, all right, well. Okay, let's move on down to number 2, which is payroll.
Right, payroll.
second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the 219 payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Okay, motion carried. Next on the agenda is the K-Work. Bill? Yeah. Any discussion on it or any questions?
my question is, how's the loss, 4% loss ratio figured? For. I'm not too much on insurance, but. So is that more than normal or?
Look back in every year, I'm not sure.
It seemed like the rate went up than from what they figured originally.
But there's often. April.
Okay. I remember when we increase the payroll, we increase the insurance.
Everything goes up with, no, that's right. I noticed that too. Nothing goes down.
But it said there was 99 employees, so it seemed like that's a little. I thought it was usually, in the payroll, it's usually in the eighties, high eighties.
Every possible employee, or every actual employee is included. So, when it comes to this K-Work, who is the contact for the county to this company? Are we the point of contact? Are you the point of contact? Okay. Okay. So, at our commissioners training, earlier in the year, for the new commissioners training, talked about a lot of K-Work would come out and do classes, training, things like that. Do we do that? Do we participate in that in the county? Okay.
And we have done some through the years.
Okay. So, the adjuster, the insurance agent, for lack of a better term, that was there spoken about, if we could get people to buy into the training parts, there's a chance we could get our rates lowered. Get the, your question to insurance, I mean, I'm not sure it actually works, but there's a possibility for a rate reduction if we can get some employees to take some extra training. And I have his contact number in my folder back there. Would it be all right to call that man and just ask about it? And see
See,
what
we
it's,
have done some of the past, but I don't remember the last time we did some.
well, if that pleases the group, I'll give him a call and just ask some questions. Yeah, maybe we can get that premium down a little bit and, do a little extra training, that safety and that's never a bad thing. And it sounds like their program wasn't, it was a good program. It wasn't just, check the box and go on. Okay, so we need a motion to approve this, audited premium invoice. To pay the bill, basically. Looks like we had budgeted about, 27,912, and after they did the audit and adjustments, it raised it to 33,759. Part of that was the increase was due to the payroll increase, and then that may have been most of it, but some of it was due to the loss ratio.
I moved the big for the cable invoice for $5,847.
I'll second it. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this new invoice. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. All right, we are moving right along. Item number 4 is a emergency vehicle permit.
We're in the final step of approval on those. It actually goes through the chief, the emergency management, sheriff, and the here.
Okay, so everyone has signed off. Yeah. Now they're waiting on us, so this is for the Powhatan Fire Department.
Right, we approve it.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's, well, here we go. You want to amend your motion?
Yeah, okay. Lost my stuff there, but yeah. For Mr. Kappelman. To approve the emergency vehicle permit for him,
I'll second it.
get his first name.
Dan Kaplan. So it's been moved and seconded to approve an emergency vehicle or license items for Dan Kappelman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. So next on the list is the Northeast Kansas Environmental services. This is just informational. That was to remind us that if we have receive a grievance from a property owner regarding county environmental and sanitation codes, that we have the owner contact the Northeast Kansas Environmental Services and about the appeal for the hearing process in place in the county. And this will just make things simpler. So in the future, if we have something, we send them to the environmental services.
I think the last one we had was, something about a dumping that was north of town.
Oh, yeah, dumping them, piling them around.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, you didn't call me, with some district, so that kid just stayed in there, they're not spread it out yet, but what's on. It's brought in somewhere else at the top of their own farm. It was on this information about what was dumped there, it didn't come from a chicken farm was brought up, but you can say it's cleaned up, so I understand, so that won't stay in there, but water. You just want to let us know. All taken care of. And he had no problem, he was receptive.
Good deal, good deal. Yeah, that's why we remember that you're part of this. Is why we're- Okay. Well, it's 8:56. We want to talk about number 6. Stepping out. Describe what the program was, we know what the intention is, it sounds like.
Back there. What the.
Sounds like a workout. Okay. Yeah, information. from this. I didn't go to the website, but then I'll check it out. Mr. Paul, did you check it out on the website?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I didn't either, so I'm just gonna, we talk about it and I'll look at it and if we want to discuss it further, we'll do it at a later date. Okay. Well, we have 3 minutes here before our next scheduled agenda item. People are going to take a little break. We need to. Anyone else we can talk about? Take some time.
We need to talk about this road project sometime, but I don't think they do it in 3 minutes.
Can we, did you ever check on the permit and going to the road, coming to call for
I
that?
did. I called, you know, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, and we could approve that, if you had any, we can approve that.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Rex, yeah. And from what I understood. Is if he was far enough away from the county to. That it wouldn't be a problem. Rex owns the north side of the road, they rent the south side of the road. It's got clear, I guess, an elevation change, so it should have grade, it shouldn't be, it's not really a problem.
So is there not a tube there already?
There is a tube, but so what Mr. Lockwood's attempting to do is put in wet drainage tile.
Wet drains over.
There's not enough grade to exit the road to and make the tile project. So, as long as we had a maintenance agreement. That to understand that Rex maintains that tile, that was enough, we need some sort of language that says, you know, not only you pay all the expenses, but you're responsible for maintaining it, making sure it works long term. It's not the county. Is that?
That's what they. said.
Yeah. So
Didn't have you say something, but does that be so far away from any other two?
he wanted it 4 feet away from a county tube. And it's gonna be farther than 4 feet, correct? Or did I misunderstand?
So I would meter under, you thought it'd be under also, but.
Under the existing two.
Below ours. 4 foot away, left or right, or 4 foot way down. I mean, if it goes under ours. Yeah, probably have to be away also, if we're gonna replace it, but this is the drain, maybe it's a drain, right?
Yeah.
You're saying.
You should-
A little bit weird, but keep it that big one, hopefully that's. Never happened for a long time.
So I would make, I mean, after talking to Mr. Lutz and understanding what he said, I would make a motion that we go ahead and approve the permit. It's 25-02, for, yeah, for regular. It's been moved and seconded to approve, permit number 2502, which is, permission for Rex Lockwood to bore underneath, for a drain top. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank
And then
you. And also,
just sign.
good deal. Okay, thank you very much. All right. With that taken care of, it's now time to, on our agenda for the oil bid opening. What's that?
Let's just read.
Okay, okay. So we'll be past these and then-
So we'll just read off the prices on the plan,
Okay,
writing down the pressure.
okay. I just go from left to right here.
I got Costco Energy Corp, their RS 1H is $2.64.
54,
64. Yeah, $2.
64.
And then the RS 1HP delivered is 287, sorry, 287 delivered. The pump charge is 125. Hourly unloading rate after 2 hours is $100 an hour. Short freight for loads less than 5,500 gallons is $1,500 and $1,550. 5.5 gallons, less than 5.5 gallon, I understand that for sure.
All right, mine is, Vance Brothers. Their RS 1H is $2.15. RS 1H Plus is $2.15, and these are per gallon. The next is RS 1HP, and that's $2.55 a gallon. And the freight to get it to Brown County, Kansas is 9 cents a gallon. So there are some. The first item I have here is a fuel surcharge. That they add 32%.
That will not apply, it does not apply to, county city.
Okay.
So,
X that out. then. Okay, and here's some delivery terms. I'll read them out. The minimum freight charge. Loads less than 46,000 pounds. Deliveries canceled while the truck is en route are subject to a minimum freight charge. Standard return product. $100 unloading charge and a restocking charge of 20% per gallon. Does that happen ever? You get a trailer, you can't use it, you turn it back?
breaking down the range.
So that happens? Okay, okay.
Not too often.
Okay, and a pump charge if requested is $75. They got a drop trailer rental fee, $500 a week. And a demurrage of $70 per hour after the first 2 free hours. So if they have to sit there more than 2 hours, it costs $70 an hour. Good, that's what I have.
Okay. Agron is, their RS 1H is $2.67 per gallon. And RS 1HP is $2.97 per gallon. And those are delivery prices for full truck shipments delivered to Brown County. Pump charge if requested is $150. 2 hours unloading time, $100. No moving charge. The return load rate is 1/2 the delivery rate.
So not knowing, really how this goes, there's different products here. Is there anyone in the room that would want to explain what an RS 1H is versus a plus versus a P?
Sure.
This is Adam. Adam with Vance Brothers.
Okay,
Yes, I'm out there, there's, an RS 1H is an anionic emulsion, does not have any polymer in it. Our RS 1H plus is a similar product, it's proprietary, we have some changes in there, it's exactly what it is, but, it makes it perform like a polymerized emulsion, which, a polymerized emulsion typically has a better hold on the aggregates, so you have less rock loss. That's the product that you guys have been using for the last 3 months, yes, yeah.
let's do the plus.
1H plus.
Okay.
So, the RS 1HP has about 3% polymer in it, and, like I said, it generally holds on to the aggregate better. However, it's harder to deal with. They will fall nozzles a little bit, more easily, more easily.
Sure.
So,
So, and I appreciate this. You spoke to me like I'm a rock guy or road guy. So the polymer does what?
so it adds elasticity and, ductility to, material. So what that means is when you run over it, like a snowplow, for instance, that aggregate, the oil that's on the road, that's holding the rock to the road, that snowplow can knock the rock loose. Well, with the polymer in it, it will add the ability to pull that rock back into place and hold on to it better than a non-polymerized emulsion.
So when that happens with heat, I guess when the sun comes out, then that rock that's loose now can rebond. Is that what you mean? Ish, I guess.
The properties of polymer, I can't speak
Okay.
to exactly. What, mix it, elastic or duct?
All right. All right.
We all well, but what happens if we have bits plugged up, let's get big dollar in one year where that got plugged up. It's some. Yeah, with polarized emulsions, it takes a lot more attention to detail and cleaning at the end of the day, to make sure that you don't have those issues. Even if you do all that, it can come back and clog the, it clog the valves.
So Brown County has been using an H plus, and is H plus, is it proprietary? Is that what I understood?
That is a price.
Okay, so the reason the other two companies, that's why they don't have it, makes sense, okay. Okay. Any other questions
And it was the same price as the one eight, right?
as the 1H?
You guys would stay with the 1H plus, right? I think so, yeah. The all one race games. It was a lot of restriction trouble. Wasn't working.
So we,
we approved the Advance Brothers, the RS 1H plus.
okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the bid from Vance Brothers RS 1H plus. At $2.15 a gallon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, and just in case people were listening, our road foremen are in the background. We were asking questions. That's who was answering most of them. So appreciate that. And while you fellows are here, anything you want us to know? White bunch?
Y'all has to get around, but first few months.
Snow is melting. Yes, it is. And kudos to all the crews for getting it done too. That weather was pretty nasty. And I don't know, 15 below, I think it was as low as I saw. Didn't have any issues that you need to report or everything, the diesel stayed liquid and all that, no trouble gelling up, so that's great. Oh. That happens. Yeah, that happens. Okay. All right.
We want to sign the-
You want me to sign it? Would you like to sign that one? There.
and I need that, for the community.
Right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's why they have to number that back. That's why they only put a title on there.
Sure.
Chairman.
Chairman.
Okay, that's why you look so nice. I know.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So we do have a little time here.
Yes,
You have anything else for us?
yes.
No?
Well, we need to discuss the cost share.
Not to put anybody on the spot back there, but if you have any input on this 270th, about the, this bid and because we're looking at some contingencies, some add-ons here, like putting the gravel wedge on, the intersection aprons, they call it, and then the ditch, grading and ditching there. And I know I've called and talked to a couple of you about it, but if you had some input, bring it on, okay? It's very well. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Are you gonna be able to do the ditch planning or?
We could probably do some of it. But that, put the edges down. I guess it depends on how pretty you're doing. I mean, it could be dumped over, really done, spread over the edge of the motor there, but not that it's pretty like it's saying. If the company actually did it themselves, they have a machine to do that. You dump the rock right in the front of the machine on the motor grader or whatever they have, or it lays it right on the edge, and they run a hole right down the edge of it. I guess it depends on how pretty you want it.
So my comments on that, I haven't got to talk to, but, so they're wanting $77,000 to do that.
How much?
77,000.
And rock is about, how much is, we can, rock from Grimm's would work, wouldn't it?
Not do it, yeah. They're not crushing any more rock,
Okay,
so whatever they have left is all they'll have. So they, I mean, I guess I could call Kent and ask him if he'd say it. But for the $77 an hour, for them to put it down.
no, $77,000.
It's basically 11,000.
Oh,
It's $11,000 a mile. To do, you know, a running mile, each side of it. Is what it-
That
that's
much,
supplying the rock too.
Yes,
that's for each side.
each side, yeah.
So it's $22,000 per mile.
Well, yeah.
Right, so,
That's
I guess we could furnish the trucks with rock. If they have a machine to make that.
so I was looking on. I was looking at machines. And, Purple Wave has a couple of them up for auction on the 27th this month. And there were,
It's on the front of the motor grader.
no, it just fits, it's
Well, it's like a chip spreader, one of them like a chip spreader. Then
right, and has a wings on the side to, it doesn't have, I don't know how it packs it, but you just dump it into there and it has a conveyor, it runs it off the side. And there were some others that were for sale from $42,000 down to $12,000. That one on Purple Wave was well, there was three of them. And one of them didn't hardly have a bid, and highest bid was 3,000. So,
they were also,
yeah. I don't know how, so I think there's some roads around that need to be widened too, and not, it sounded like you could use that to widen the roads too. So,
When is this project gonna take place? Schedule a date yet?
this summer, let's see,
Done by the 15th of September. That's the schedule.
have you looked at any new bill just put on the front of the motor grader?
no, I didn't look at
I
the,
think they would put on the front of the motor grader, well, right on the quicker test, I think. Snow plow,
and they have a belt that runs it off too.
I guess it's got its own motor. What difference in motor?
So I looked online at a company called Road Widener. That was the company, and it had a machine like what you're talking about. But brand new, it's over $50,000. And this one went on the front of a skid steer, had a remote control, all self-contained, and looks like, I guess you would sequence this Widener and the guy driving the truck and you move, or does it push it? Do you under,
I don't know, see
One
what
on
they
the-
do it, and then
The
they.
one on the motor grader, you just back up to the hopper and the motor grader pushes.
pushes the truck and everything?
The
Yeah,
same way with self-help, it's just like. cheap.
sure. So I guess my question is,
You back up, you probably back up, yeah. Yes,
I think if they dig it down and putting a bigger, so you have a spot load, you know.
yeah.
Cleans it out,
Lays it out.
and then when they put it in, then you have to pack it in behind. If you don't pack it in behind, it's all gonna float
Right.
away. You
in,
have time.
well, and there's a whole lot of issues to discuss, just, you know, in the future, when you're looking at our roads in your district, I mean, do you see a place where a road widener machine, would it be beneficial at all? If you talked about on Prairie Road, putting this leveling and an overlay on it, you know, will that need to be widened? You know, to
We'll have to have a shoulder throw to rock.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to make life any more complicated for anybody, but if we have a chance to, to save some money. And if we could do some of these things ourselves, we're just looking at it. I didn't have any interest in a self-propelled machine because that's just another motor and all that. I thought, and there is one on Purple Wave that goes on front of a skid steer, which doesn't help us because I don't think you have a skid steer. So, but there are machines out there, and if we thought we could utilize them in the future, maybe now would be a good time to try it. But
I guess my thought on the one too, that what's the long-term plan? I mean, if you're gonna use it, throughout 4, 5, 10 years down the road, it might be all right, but if you're just gonna use it for a long time deal,
sure,
my opinion, I think
We got the right machine, like old 36, we generally need to do something along there. And you get to, there's a lot of breaking off. And when there would be a use for it, we got the right machine.
But there's the whole thing too, if you want to hurry or you can do this.
Want it done right.
Water drainer, layout.
We just have an attachment that we can put down the side of the road, try it ourselves, but it just doesn't stay put. You look at KDOS, go down to work at their shop, ask them, they do brothers with that, see if they want everything in place. But then I will do it.
yeah.
So my thought was, of the rocks worth 35,000, they're wanting 77,000, you got about $40,000 to put it down. So,
I don't know why we could, if that's $77,000 is the rock and the trucks, labor, and everything, there's no reason why we couldn't supply the truck. And the rock. They cut that out, and if they had the machine to lay down, whatever, that's,
So the time period for the world.
that's, we're looking at how much time we're gonna spend on this, because there's so many other projects, we got some too. I'm still two guys. Not in business. We're gonna have enough work to do without having to try to find stuff. to do.
well, this is a little off the subject, but I was drove down that road last night and, closer to Spetha there, it drops off pretty fast. So if you're clearing out the ditches, you move some of that dirt up there and level that off.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just- So that can dry out, that's.
right, I mean, it's just,
How long we're gonna have to keep it dry out?
I mean, you can't just put the dirt out of the ditches back in the field or something, but if you could use it someplace.
Got permission to volunteer.
Okay. Right.
Shoved out the field and they'll take care of it.
Right. But that one place, it looked like if you'd if it was another foot or two wider along there, it'd be beneficial. I mean, some places it drops off and some places it doesn't have any, so.
So is the county gonna do that, putting the ditches, or are they going to do it?
Well,
That's one of their bids I have in here, 38.5, they would do all the ditch cleaning, grading, 38,500. You do it with the add-ons to the bid. Well, located. For the telephone government, power. My biggest concern is with this project, it's coming. Time and if it hits during the oil season. But I don't know if in their bids, if we can provide in-kind service, and that's where our dump trucks come into play. They take off the bid for us providing dump trucks, providing gravel.
So if we're chips in, we can't do anything.
No, they're gonna be done by September 15th.
First, it's the September 1st, I'm sorry.
September 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, the addition this spring.
then you're relying on, you know, these guys to help, well, if they're not gonna be, they're not gonna. Sorry, we won't look at it.
But the change, but still is something to be looked at, you need to look at the Reswater Road, or we need for edging for better, so it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it could be used on goldfish. Very long.
Right.
All brothers are the ones doing the asphalt,
Yes,
they are.
Kings are doing the reclamation. You ever worked with them?
I know I've seen their equipment. Yes,
That's an awesome.
I was on D highway yesterday from Baileyville north. And I wonder if they did that with it. It's, they've got a nice, beautiful, beautiful asphalt, and they've got a probably a 1.5 2 foot rock on the edge, just perfect. It looks great.
So I don't know, do you know who, are you sure who did the reclamation on that? Did Kings do that or was that,
Oh, I mean, all
well? But Hall Brothers put the bid in for this, but they're not doing the reclamation part of it, so. So does Hall Brothers just do the asphalt and then it's contract the reclamation part out? That's what I'd guess. I mean, why wouldn't they done this and? But, and I don't. The price I gave you for the rocket, 35,000 or whatever, that was figuring, 1,400 tons. At $25, or I figured $25 a ton. I'm not sure if that covers it, or it's higher than that or lower than that or whatever. But
They have done, so you're on that.
1,400 tons, yeah.
And we could haul 1,400 ton at the shop stock. If that's the case, I know.
Okay. If that rock works, that's close. I mean, you wouldn't have very far to haul it, just a mile or two.
Look back on.
But that's all you're gonna get for your $77,000 probably.
We're asking so many questions on this because it's so many dollars. We're already taking there. I mean, we're thinking about, the bid was for a 3-inch asphalt overlay for surface, and we're already looking at reducing that to 2 to try and save some money. Looks like according to the engineer, that'll take 4 to 6 years off the service life of the road to save that, but that saves us around $270,000. We did, whenever they let this bid out, again, these add-ons, I guess, with the thought maybe that the county could take it over and do it themselves and try to save money. And I think we've decided that the intersection apron reclamation and overlay, well, we haven't decided it, I guess. Maybe just let the Hall Brothers just take care of that. Make it more seamless, maybe save some money at $33,252. Bill brought up, or Mr. Pollock brought up last week that, you know, the reclamation there was only $7,700 to do that. It's the overlay, I guess, that costs so much.
And there's only there's one road that's asphalt or chip and seal intersection, right? And then the other intersection looked like it was a dirt road and gravel road that wasn't used very much. And then there's one that goes to that hog farm or something, hog barn.
The only chip and seal road would be.
And local water.
Now,
And I don't
so
see,
you can get them guided.
right, so I don't see that we need to put too much. There shouldn't be too much traffic coming onto that, so it looks like a little bit of hot patch in there, to me, all right.
Be the one on,
Clear Street.
the gravel going north. East of Albany, there would be some there,
No, it's 9:30, yeah. Yeah, okay.
To me, that's, that wouldn't have much traffic on it, so it's like, oh,
When that all gets done,
We can check.
there'll be more traffic on that.
well, coming in onto it is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, that, they'll come from five, come from more, and they'll come to 270, come in stuff, but they're gonna drive out all that.
Right.
'Cause they've been confident.
Yeah, we've got a 9:30 here, guys.
So,
Okay. Okay, you want to ask them to stay here? Ask them a question?
You got, we gotta do it 9:30 and then you guys wanna stay around and talk some more about the project.
Is that all right? Or you got other things going? Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on. We've got a 9:30 with Jacksonville County Environmental Services. So that's in the background. Hello, welcome. Come on up. Might introduce yourself for the people listening online.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Darlene Sully. I'm the superintendent for the Environmental Services and Street Department.
Okay. Thank
So what are you all wanting to know?
Our question was, working with. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, we're working with compounds out of our landfill, you're picking up our
Hazardous waste.
hazardous waste.
So specifically, that's what our questions were about, it's a fairly significant budget item. And we were curious about, the county, as we understand it, is not obligated to have a hazardous waste program, but we wondered about the side effects of that. And then just really wanted to hear, I guess, what you thought about the program. How's that?
Right, basic point is, I know the state of Kansas did not require to have a hazardous space department. I do know, I think it's like 3 or 4 years ago, you guys come to us to come back to us, so that's when we did the contract, the same as we did in Donovan. Household hazardous waste, you guys understand what that is, right?
I think so, yeah.
Basically, look underneath your kitchen sink, anything you find there from Clorox to Windex to pesticides, herbicides, all that stuff is hazardous.
Mhm.
Hazardous for the environment. I feel like it's a very important program. I know it's very costly, and it does cost us quite a bit to ourselves. But if you don't provide it with your residents, where are they gonna take the stuff to? It's gonna up at the landfills. And what is that gonna cause after so many years? It's stuff being in the landfill and then all the stuff, toxic stuff and everything. And basically get into our water system. What we do with our procedures, what we do is like, we have to test everything that comes in. There's a lot of times things that come in labels and sometimes they don't come in favor of all. Find out what it is. We have to test them to find out if it's like frozen, if it's flammable, it's, balance on that. And then we have certain barrels we have to stick the stuff in because you have some items that you can't put together because they're really bad.
Sure.
It's like, anything that contains Clorox has to be a different thing than some other chemicals because they have a tendency to react with each other. And then we deal with Clean Harbors and they come and pick up the stuff. And then what they basically do is they burn it. Some chemicals they have to, break it down before they burn it. They put it really high.
Clean Harbors is a nationwide.
Yeah,
So where's it go from your place Where's our, do you have any idea?
Oh my gosh.
Let's go somewhere.
It can go different other places. Lots of it goes out, I think a lot of it goes out of the state of Kansas. You know, I think Clean Harbors is pretty big. I think our headquarters that we deal with, I think they are in. Or they in Kansas City. Either one of those, but
You have to test everything that we sent to you. You do all the tests.
yes, yes. In your, if you guys notice in your contract, that, you know, we have the biannual rate of 20 cents per resident, which I get that total from the census, is where I get that from. The 20 cents per resident is what it takes our employee after we bring it to our facility of what it takes to test everything, it's like that, the hours that we. Right. Basically, the point is, we try to, we have you guys and we have Donovan County with us. We try to keep everything even where you guys are just getting costs with what it costs for what Clean Harbors to come in. And then for what it costs for us to come pick it up and that's for the hours we have to work on it. We always calculate that to make sure that we're coming even where we're not, it's basically just laying across the board. Something about that we don't make any money off of, it's just across the board with the counties that we do. We just try to keep it even that we're not in the hole that, that the county is paying what they should be paying. With it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
can we be selective? Can the landfill be selective on what they do? I know, used oil was something, Mr. Pounds talked about a lot. Can we as a landfill say, well, we just don't want to use oil and can we do that?
basically, I think that's just what you guys prefer with the county.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any history of a county that has been involved in the hazardous waste program and then opted out? And you have any good news or bad news about a situation like that?
No, I do not. I do know it was before my time, but I know that we had with Donovan County, Brown County, we had Atchison. I think there's another county that we picked up.
Mhm.
But then I know when I started that, you guys, everybody was not in it anymore with us. It was just us only for our Jackson County. And then I know Donovan came back with us probably about 5 years ago. So I don't know how long it's been, and then I think it might be 3 to 4 years, you guys forgot. So, because I know Donovan County, we pick up quite a bit from them. So I don't know if they had an impact, when they stopped and what affected them, I don't know.
Okay.
But
There's no saving. I mean, we can't take it, bring it down to you. You guys have to come and pick it up.
well, you can, but I don't know if there's any kind of laws with the state on that part, with you guys bringing it. Because what we have a trailer that has, Northeast Kansas, hazardous waste, and then we have all the barrels inside of it too, that we kind of look at it and kind of estimate that we know that it needs to go in a flammable barrel, so we stick the items in there to transport back to us. So I don't know if there's any state of Kansas laws on that, I do not know. That was something that you would have to probably check out. Lindsay Peterson, the state of Kansas is a one that you probably should talk to.
And you break it down to order, you can take.
Yeah, see, what we do is that we come to your place and then we go through, okay, we try to look at maybe if it has like an ingredient in it that we might think it might be flammable, so we put in the flammable, barrel and stuff like that. And there's sometimes, we don't like separate it completely out. It's just enough to transport it back. Okay.
Some sort of thing,
Right, yes.
Any questions?
And I,
I'm sorry.
and I do know, you know, if you guys do, you know, continue to do this, I do know you guys have to hold a certificate, a 24-hour hazardous waste certificate that whoever's gonna be involved to handle at your facility. And then they have to renew that every year. Yeah.
I have not heard of some love in here in 6 years.
Mhm.
That's something that we brought up to them. Out there and asked them. I'll let you better find out. We haven't done this.
Right, right, because if it's 24-hour, it's a free 24-hour course. You know, you're just gonna have to be paying for your employees' meals and then the room that they have to do for overnight. And then the 8-hour course, you know, you can go to in person, which that does cost, or you can do an 8-hour course online, that doesn't cost. So that's not expensive, but Lindsay Peterson from the state of Kansas would be the one to talk to you about a little bit more about the program.
Would you mind reaching out to all the ever had that? Kind of interesting to know how we maybe spend a year about.
Okay, well, just to let you know, in our operating plan, we have to put in there with picking up Donovan County, or picking up Brown County, whatever county. And I do know, I don't know why, but I do have your guys' operating plan. And when I went back through it, it had Georgia's certificate back in 2000. So that's all I know. It's a 24-hour hazardous waste material.
What was that lady's name again?
Lindsay Peterson. I think I gave you the email address, right?
We'll check.
Yeah, she'd be the one to contact a bit more about with it.
Well, maybe more of that stuff, that's for sure.
Did you happen to have any communication with our county attorney about the contract? We had a few questions on it. And what I'm looking at is just the agreement for disposal of household hazardous waste with Jackson County. We just had a few little, just almost clerical type things.
I don't think, I didn't get anything, and then, our Christy Burke, last time I knew, she never had anything that was.
Thing reads, the consideration of this agreement shall be the biannual base rate amount of 20 cents per resident of Brown County. Is that something you're familiar with that?
Mhm.
So when I hear the word biannual, I think every 2 years, but do you mean every 6 months?
We do that twice a year.
Twice a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's, I mean, that's just it's confused, it should be semi-annual. Right? Yeah, I mean, it sounds, I don't mean to nitpick you or anything, but when I read that, I say, well, every 2 years, we're paying 20 cents per resident, but then when I see that you collect on the 15th of January and July, that means it's just semi-annual, it's not. a huge
Right,
deal.
right.
It is a legal contract, so.
Yeah, and then the 20 cents per resident, that's where I get that from the census,
Sure,
because that's the most accurate that I could possibly get it.
sure,
Residents
okay.
live in-
So that's twice a year, so that's 40 cents a year per person.
Right, yes, basically, yes.
All right,
Right.
that was it.
And then if we kind of pick up the stuff, you know, we charge employees salary the $29.50 and it costs 67 per mile to do it. Okay. Basically, time that we leave Jackson County, we come up here, pick everything up, and the time we
Sure.
get back, that's what the hours are on that part, so.
And-
But the residential one, that is the one that is charged with, when we bring it back to our facility, we have to go through and test everything, and what goes through and stuff like that, you know, and stuff.
So if I read this right, it says, it's got a lot of first party and second party, the legal stuff here, but but Jackson County is first, Brown County is second. It says Jackson, the first party and second party agree that second party will be responsible for transportation. So in the contract, it says that Brown County is going to haul it in, but if memory serves me, to your point, you know, it's different as I, as a private citizen, haul something to dispose of it versus the county. I don't know that we have the placarding or the equipment, you know, the registration to do that on our own.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we just wanted more information and you
Mhm.
were very good about coming up here and doing that.
And then another thing too, I'll let you know too, it's like, you, with what I charge you with what Clean Harbors claims in, okay? Basically you guys have your own barrels, okay, and that's what goes in with them, but let's say I only have 3 ounces of one little thing that it's not gonna be in one little barrel, because I'm gonna put that 3 ounces in with Jackson County stuff. We do that with the other county, just to try to help save everybody cost,
Sure.
you know, on that part.
Sure.
And then, you know, we go through the stuff, and if there's stuff like that is still good and everything, we have a free issue room, and then we go there and we stick it on there. So that way you're not have to, it's something that's good that somebody else can use, and then you guys are not being charged of.
Sure.
You know, some things do go bad. You know, and there's some items that we can't absolutely put on our things like herbicides and pesticides, you know, unless it's completely not open, then we can, but if it's open, that's something we have to say. But that's another thing too, we try to help cost with everybody. So I know it's expensive to do all this.
So can individuals from different counties bring it in and you deliver it to you?
No,
You have to,
we, with Jackson County, only the Jackson County residents is able to use our facility, simple practice, because
you get everybody's.
you know, where the money's coming from is our taxpayers. So that's the only reason is our.
So
residents.
you would, even if you don't have a charge, you could charge other people from outside the county. Yeah.
No, they can't put our facility at all.
Wonderful.
So. Okay,
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
you're
All
welcome.
right. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you.
Too.
Well, we can, if it's all right, can we fire up that discussion about the road again? Okay, so, appreciate you all being here really, because you are you're the manpower and you're the guys that know how this stuff works. So we're looking at this bid, trying to, from the money side of it, you know, I'd love to be able to just do it and roll on and let them go, but if we could save some money, that's what we're after. This road widener machine, if we thought we're jumping into something out of turn here, you know, we don't have to do it on this one, but if you look into the future and think, well, could we actually use this on different roads and different parts of the county and maybe utilize this machine? It might be a good place to, you know, might be a good time to give it a shot. And
No, I don't, but. Well, I looked on Purple Wave, they had pictures on there, and I looked on. What is it, machinery? Well, it's not Machinery Pete, it's Machinery Trader. That one hooks on
this is the one I showed him, was one that hooks to the front of the skid steer. It's run by remote, but it's the same basic theory. But it's just a box with a conveyor belt and a couple of hydraulic motors, but it's a one pass thing where it takes the gravel in, it directs it and then shapes it, and you set the angle or whatever you want to call it to blade it. And you would control the flow with that remote, That the one is on Purple Wave. It's just on an auction in Wisconsin, I think. I just. Okay. Well, I just found that one. I'm not in love with it. I just found it. It was just an example. So. Sure. Thank you.
Then it's got the hydraulic, everything's run off the hydraulic, but they're run off the hydraulic.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna have to have on delivery lines for that. Well, there was, our motor, we don't have to. But they would have to add.
That's for a skid loader, right?
This one is for a skid loader. Yeah, it was just an example. That's why you're here. See, I don't know. I didn't even just,
How long is it self-developing?
They were. Um. They were in the late nineties, 98 or something. I think one was 2000. Yeah, they're John Deere diesels. Couple of them were in Palmyra, Missouri. I think that's over by Hannibal. It's not huge. And then there was one that didn't have a bid on it, was down in Arkansas. It looked a little rougher. But I, to me, we ought to be looking at it, and if it's something that we could use on Thursday. We'd have to make a decision today or either meet again or something, but it looks to me, my thought was that you could save from your 77,000 enough to pay for the thing. But like you say, it's going to take time, but how long is it going to take to do? It'd be like 7 miles. Time to do both sides, but looks like it ought to move along further. Gosh,
You starting out, you're not gonna, I mean, nobody knows what's going on, for sure.
right.
I
it'd be-
mean, once you figured it out, you can probably do that. I mean, you can do that, but it's gonna be a learning process right off the start, so you're not gonna get.
But it can be 2 or 3 days for $10,000 a day. You could say that much, or
Who's never been around any of this stuff.
Sure.
like, well, you buy something and you learn about it after you get it, you know.
But there's another time span that you gotta look at too. So, and another concern I had was all these commercial traffic signs we gotta get put up. Road closure, commercial traffic signs, who's gonna enforce that? Are they gonna get it? I don't know.
well, the sheriff would enforce it. And then we would have to talk to them, yeah. Well, just like the speed limit signs on the county blacktops too. Who enforces?
So,
See, I don't think we've had. I've never put up a speed limit sign on one of the bus signs. There already been some stuff. My concern with them signs and commercial traffic signs is. There's only one way in the mall without driving the county. road. And I'll guarantee you, the regular truck driver around is gonna drive, it's about to drive on people. So if we're gonna put them signs up. They need to be enforced.
They used to be up, they just.
Yeah, and nobody paid any attention to me, because I've been in that position.
Well, what we're after is we know that there's certain traffic that's gonna have to be on the roads. But it's like the rock haulers that are coming from Missouri that are cutting across and taking load after load after load down the road. If we see them and if we can stop them, that tears up our roads, when they don't stay on the highway when they're taking, semi-load after semi-load. Those are the things that we're after to destroy our roads.
But see, there's your problem too. Is if you start picking on them guys, the word's gonna get around. And then, well, how come the drain lines get to go to more? But we can't cut across it. So you're gonna have to deal with that. I'm just throwing this at you. I'm not complaining. I'm throwing it at you to think about. Because I've been in that position on all the years I drove. But they got it. They are the way. Yes, they're farmers, they don't have that. Yes, right. But I'm just saying, if you got a choice, risking your
risk of getting whatever bucks a ticket can be. Going to Morrill on Goldfinch and up 270 versus driving clear around to Sabetta and coming in on 246. Guess where they're gonna go until they get off.
Sure. Well, it is a concern. I've had equipment delivered, you know, that I bought on auction. And the trucker hauls it in and he can haul it in on Sunflower. But when he's empty, he doesn't just go out any certain way. He gets back to the highway as quick as possible. So all that means is somewhere in this country, those laws are enforced, because there's some guys that are pretty paranoid, don't want to get caught, so. The answer to that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we go to more all the time. I'm a farmer though. I just go up Goldfinch, do just what you
Yeah,
said.
you're that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my experiences throughout the years.
Sure, absolutely. So, just back to this, and the intention is not to put you on the spot. The intention is just to have a discussion. It's a really expensive project. We're just trying to save some money. I don't want to hook you into doing something that you're not comfortable with on that road, you know, as far as this gravel edge. But if we thought in the future, I mean, we may be able to look past this project, just let them do it and go on. But if you thought in the future that one of these machines would be helpful, you know, and could actually save the county some money, just like Goldfinch Road, you know, that road needs wider shoulders on. With this, a machine like this, you know, would that play a part in that?
Goldfinch need hurt a lot.
Sure.
Back up and it needs to be done. It needs to be packed in there, compacted and everything good.
Mhm.
To get that shoulder to hold.
Mhm.
That's the. And where that slopes off of Goldfinch. You're gonna have a lot,
Sure,
a lot of.
sure. Mark, wouldn't you put this gravel edge on top of that dirt? If you did expand the shoulder, made it wide,
If you expand it, yeah.
this thing would show.
Expand it, on.
But then it worked to gravel it after you got the dirt in there.
Well, yeah, after your dirt work is done, that you can put a gravel shoulder. There's no place to hold the shoulder.
Right.
That's the worst part about it.
So I guess what I'm asking you to do is just, you know, kick it around, talk amongst yourselves. If something like that has a, you know, would have a place in the future of your road department, you know, it's something we can look at if we can save some money and have better roads for people. You know, you're the experts.
Several different times, we really don't know what we want.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
What, the structural integrity of the highway by removing 3 inches of asphalt, trying to save money, what are you going to gain? What are we going to gain?
The attempt is, it's just money. It's 270,000, give or take, for that extra inch.
The engineer said the
4 to 6 years off of this expected service life, and they gave, service life was 20 years. So 20 years, so you're looking at 15 year replacement.
So you're taking off about 25% of the life and a third of the cost.
that would be the chip and seal program too, though, that's what.
Right.
It might be, that's all we need or something. I think about 7 years, you, let's say, before you need to chip and seal it usually. But you're gonna have to, for crack form, you're gonna have to maintain the cracks, so that's still gonna be tough. That's where your cracks are gonna come from, so you take them out that 3 inch. You can go and crack off, they did that bad. It's 3 inches total, it's an inch off. You take an inch off.
An inch off, yeah.
Or, well, they were gonna put a 3 inch overlay. After they reclaimed the road, they're gonna put a 3 inch overlay of asphalt and dropping that down to 2 inches of asphalt instead of 3 inches. It's a total reclamation of the whole road, they're grinding it all up.
I guess I'd rather see the 3 inches on there and not the aprons and the stuff on the side roads and some of that stuff, and maybe us doing the gravel on the side. Anything we can save that way, we can put it, you know, can go put more asphalt on.
Safety of use problem off the edge if we raise that. The road is gonna be higher.
Have you guys seen the bid? Have you seen it? Do you want to see it? You want to look what they got?
Can you make me a copy too while you're doing it? Paper copy.
Okay, so as it's bid on this road, this 270th street, for 3.5 miles is what I used. If we just turned them loose and just accepted the bid and they did all the add-ons and we did 3 inches asphalt, it's right at $500,000 a mile to do that, to do the whole project. This is a state grant and they kicked in 946, I think is the math. So then our share of that is $226,000 a mile. So for that kind of, I mean, if you're starting from scratch with a 3-inch asphalt road with everything done, I mean, does that sound like a reasonable figure? Is that a good investment? I mean, we're gonna, and I know it's a hard question, but we're gonna move ahead on this one way or the other. We're trying to pinch some pennies here. You know, maybe save some of the asphalt, look at trying to do the ditch cleaning and grading. And if we do that, we get our costs down pretty substantially, but like you're saying, then our service life of our road goes down with it.
Guess my thought on this too is. You've got professionals doing it versus semi-professional. We might be a long way from semi-professional too, so.
Well, and that's fair. I mean, it's
It's probably not that we couldn't do it, but. I mean, if we're gonna spend that kind of money on road, on new. I still think probably going right first place.
and that's fair.
That's. I mean, that's not good.
But it doesn't say the next time that if we was able to plug the machine, we ever learn how to use it, that we couldn't do it later on at another bit. But right now, we just, time is our problem right now.
Time's our problem right now. If that's all going on during summer, we're not gonna do it, so.
June, July's out for us.
I just don't,
May too, I mean, we're not patching to it. Yeah.
I don't think it's.
Turn it off, we're done.
I don't think it's gonna benefit us. I mean, that's.
Okay.
that's just my opinion. We need, yeah, I'm not denying that the saving the money part of it. But this is my first time project. And I still looked it on right the first time, and then. From then on out, the maintenance can be kept up on. If we need to add rock to the shoulder, that won't be a big deal.
Okay.
Because that can all be done with belly on the motor grader and roll.
Okay.
But I just don't think we'd have the time and the equipment to get that done.
Do we have the time and equipment to do the ditch cleaning and the grading?
I think we can. But that could be done before the road's done, before I patch, you know, get in here early, it's frosty, dusty, dry. And then.
I just, I don't.
They hold wet, you know, you can't. Once we've got the contract, and once we turn it over, and I guess we need to send it back to us, they have to say, well, we're gonna start the first of June.
No, that's true.
I just,
This all has to be decided beforehand, I mean, say we give them the machine, we do the shoulders, I mean, we either add that or not add it at the end, or it's gotta be done way before.
I haven't seen, well. I don't know the answer to that. My assumption would be you would sign the contract and it would be done, but I don't know.
the shoulder work. That might be a possibility. Grading and that stuff, I don't consider that. With all the stuff that I've been left with. To
What
get it
district do we start oiling in this year?
almost like,
Two.
it's almost be gone in August.
2, 3, 1. Yeah, for sure. So you're, yeah, you're gonna be the second district, yeah, it'd be it. I'm just trying to, which was gonna be up first, but that's always a.
But Jerry, you think we got time to clean the ditches?
Well, I mean, you never know for sure, I mean, once the weather just goes bad, forever.
I mean,
I wouldn't take that long.
you do, what's that with the grader, you got the excavator on there, or you got?
Where it is. Here, there's stuff up there, everybody.
What do I do?
It's gonna take all three crews, all three districts to probably get this accomplished, get in, get it done. Cause you're gonna need manpower. Yeah. Cause otherwise, it's just a couple, 2 to 3 are gonna, it's gonna drag out way too long to get it done. Realize we can, that's what I mean, if you realize we can, then we go ahead and have it do it, or too late by then. I think this is a huge learning curve we learned here on getting bids out. You know, and not looking at the whole project, and making sure what we can and can't do before the project hits us. And I think that's something we'll have to look at next time, we're gonna want to send in for a grant for a road, look at the big picture before we send off for us, so we know we got ourselves covered on all the areas. Like to be able to say that we do the grading and get it all done. So it's good right now. So it's gonna take a little while to dry out this year. We get any rain. But right now, we're down the guys, so we just all stuff that's gonna play into not be able to get some stuff done. And everybody got their gravel home, their chip and seal home. 1,000 less last week. Very long. 300. So how can we make sure that we get everybody filled up and get that out for the first thing? That's gonna tie. The time people, like 1 year we got behind, we hired capital truck. And they pretty much had it done in 2 days or 3 days, but they 6 to 12 trucks they put to it. So that's something we have to look at. We have to hire some more.
So you can haul a rock when it's raining, though, and but you can't clean ditches out when it's raining very well. Is that right?
Well, the temperature is above 30. They're gonna haul out. We're gonna start on the haul. And my part-time guys get home here Thursday. We gotta go put that stuff on and, sell the orders. We're still clean. We're just cleaning the rest of it. So. We did a little bit of landfill this morning.
Yes, Brian suggested you guys to look at they got a blueprint for areas that they said that it should need to be cleaned out, selected on a map, something. Yeah. I say, free one, you guys look at it and see what you can find out and make a decision, yes or no, if you can do it, and then we can go from there, and that part of it.
Sounds good to me.
I think the side of the road is more important to have it done right, packed in right now. Until we have equipment that we know what we're doing. This road's done, we're gonna have a nice road and we'll want to say.
I agree. And we also are glad you came because we want your input on this stuff. You got to make decisions about things, you know. It's not really in our wheelhouse, and that's what you do for a living. So I'm glad you're here. And when you have opinions or ideas, you know, I mean, share them with us. The worst we can do is say no. But what we'll do, just like, you know, think about in the future, think about this road widening machine, you know, if there's a place we can utilize that, you know, maybe in the future we do something like that, but we need your help and your input, and we'll work together as a team to do this the right way. And the most affordable way, because, again, this is a lot of money, and even if the state's kicking in a substantial portion of it, we still gotta come up with the rest, so. Is there anything else? I know last meeting we talked about, just kind of informally having the road foreman come in maybe once a month to talk to us, talk to the Board of Commissioners. Is that something that you can, that we could count on, I guess, and when? We talked about maybe the first Monday of the month, but then I brought up maybe the last meeting of the month. What would work best with your schedule, or does it matter?
Never know. What they can bring to try to make it that you guys decide. But we understand that there's things that come up before you have to go out and work. And can't make it understand that, but if we see each other once in a while, or every other month or something where we know what your guys are doing, it's all right, we got these projects, we'd like to look at this road, I mean, you guys need to do some long range planning and thinking for our districts, right? What are we gonna do? I mean, when can we put Prairie Road on the map? When can we put, Horndale on the map? Horndale is just as rough as Prairie Road. When can we look at, fixing these roads before we have to shut a road down because it's not safe? So we need a long range plan with all that.
And we're not dumping that on you. I mean, he means we, but we need,
Your input on what.
Yeah. yeah, you're the boots on the ground for us, and we just want to take your input and formulate some sort of long range plan.
If we have a plan, then you know more about what kind of equipment we could use in the future.
They are scheduled to come in the last meeting.
Okay. Oh,
Say this, we don't have to do this Friday, you had to look at it yourself. You don't have to come in this Friday.
right. Yes,
Bill, what is number one there, mobile station? What is that? Fall into?
As far as I know, that's just, I would say, them moving their equipment up there. To me, it seems like it's pretty high price. But if you figure two companies have to do it, then maybe that's, I mean, he's figured 100,000. But coming from Marysville is not that far either. North Goose is not that far away. I know. Or
Traffic control, people without, that take a lot of people.
can we just close the road down?
not if you live there.
Well, except for people live there. Yep.
Some guys have to take care of that when they do this, but they have the traffic being closed or take care of traffic control while they're doing this. Yeah, that's not on us, is it? No, they got.
They got $81,000 to do traffic control.
And then bridges don't start till next year, because they're 27.
27, that's a ways off, yeah.
Well, here's the next question. Do you really want all that traffic on the bridge?
So,
Another thought, I mean, you're gonna have,
how much of it's not gonna be there anyway? I mean, to me, I don't really see why we're doing this road anyway. You got a state road a mile away and another state road 4 miles away. Why are we even spending money on this?
The $1,000 will hot pack.
Well, how many thousands? I mean, but
Have that information. Need paperwork turned in districts so we can track that.
But anyway, so the state said that there's they figure 730 vehicles on Antelope Road a day. Compared to, well, like 470 on 270. And 185 going from Coyote down to 36. So if you got 730 on Antelope, that means a lot of people are coming off 246 and coming down there and going across there. Well, if you're working on the south end of town, it's closer to your work. You don't have to go through as much town.
but that's not true.
Well, I'd say the ones that were going all the way on 270th, they're more likely to Like, if you come down Antelope, you haven't got that much farther, you only got a half mile to go on our road.
If you want an eye awakening sometime. And these guys aren't any different than we are, they've got their main road to get traveled fast. Come out with us sometime when we're passing, or whatever, and just sit there and watch the traffic. It's dangerous. And people have no respect for it, and 270 is the worst road in town, as far as speeding. And I don't care how many signs you put up, road work ahead signs. That's, they pay no attention. And if we get somebody out there, we need to get somebody out there to help us slowly speed it down if we're gonna do all this work ourselves. And, I mean, the sheriff could get somebody to come out there and just patrol it once a week in the morning or the evening. They can generate a lot of revenue, right there.
Except it never doesn't come to the county.
I used to be, I rolled out there, I used to do it every day. The first person that sees you out there, they text everybody that travels that road from the factory, and they all slow down. Well, it's just my luck when you catch them.
You gotta do it right.
I've been there. I've sat up there a half mile away and watched the intersection there at 270, Tyler, trying to get them blowing the stop sign.
You ask Cody Spire sometime. He's got them running over 80 and up to 95 mile an hour coming into Savannah. At 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, another option is, in Jackson County, on the old highway, they put a 45 mile speed limit there. Go 55 on that, they're stopping.
You can put them on speed limit.
Well, but once you get stopped and you have to pay a couple $100,000, you'll slow down.
If it's marked that, still they gotta be out there to enforce it.
We got 286 miles of hard surface miles in Brown County, not including our highways. The officer covers every inch of our blacktop road in one shift, it doesn't get interrupted, it takes approximately 2.5 to 3 hours to cover every road. And time you get that done, it's all in between, I mean, if you have 2 guys out, 3 guys out, you can't be everywhere.
No,
Yeah, that's the problem.
but I still think Brandon leaves once or twice a week with them. And you don't have to do the whole county, you do one end of the county one day, go to the other end of the county, and then do the other. It is, the ones down south, west of K-20 and then the Grenada Road, they're not what it is. Fidelity, they're going to Fidelity Church, that's not, 270 from Goldfinch to Sabetta is one of the worst ones that we deal with. Coyote and Goldfinch is not as bad because it's so narrow. And they, most of them do slow down on it. Coyote, there's a few of them that get very wide on. Kestrel up by reserve once in a while, it's a little hairy, but 270 is the worst road that we have in our district as far as people driving. And most of them are from Nebraska. All the working about.
Cut off on Goldfinch and get down, because they don't want to shift food more. And that's out.
They don't have to cross the railroad track.
That's out 2 sets of railroad tracks they have to drop.
Sure.
Yeah, if you get stopped with the first one, time you get to the next one, stop. Again. Right.
Well, any more questions?
So you don't think you don't want to try doing the gravel on the side? That's what I heard you saying.
I don't think they heard you.
Huh?
I don't think they heard you.
Oh,
Not this time.
Okay, you didn't hear.
doing the gravel on the side of the road, you don't think you want to try that?
They're gonna be completed by September 1 with the project. Yeah, I mean, working days and they plan for the project. Same in contract.
On what I have there. Yeah, not what I have.
Plus, that's the thing, we might not be that more than. Between the time and just don't know what we're doing. That's it.
I still wait for what we're spending, we need to get it done right.
Okay.
Whether it costs us extra or not, when it's done right the first time. And that we can take care of it.
Okay.
That's like the old fish should. I don't understand what the problem was with Grams. Doing that, because they hired an engineer to themselves, anything, but they offered to save it, get the money, save the county some money.
They
They
never
got
got,
shot down.
they never really got down there to do the survey. The other thing on the survey, and I never about that.
I mean, we could get a hold of them again if they're still looking, if they still have that offer on the board, I mean, that's where. I mean, if they could do the dirt work on that. Shoulders, we could do that, probably, right along with. If we decide to do that on P7, if we have a machine to do it or whatever. I mean, they often do a lot of dirt, work, shut that.
Right.
Because of the gallons.
The company got shut down.
We need to work on the gallons, whatever it was.
They want to do a breed where they.
Uh,
They want to do a breed where they.
Basically,
They was gonna do dirt on their section.
It's just sort of engineering stuff that we have to follow. I mean,
Yeah.
we just can't, I mean, we have to follow. I mean, there has to be an engineering study and say that this is what got to be done. We just can't say, okay, Grim's fix the side.
See, they had an engineer lined up to do that too.
Okay.
They never heard anything back from them, so.
So am I correct? Are you three gonna look at this map about the grading in the ditches and make a decision on or determination on that, whether you can do it on this 270th? Is that right? As far as cleaning the ditches? Yeah. Okay, so well, my understanding is 60 days from the bid opening and we opened that the 29th of January.
we
So,
used half of it so we got about 30 days left.
yeah. We
got about 30
we got about 30 days, but it'd really be nice to do it sooner than that, of course. So,
That work.
right. So no pressure, just no pressure. We're just, okay, and I appreciate this discussion really, and everybody, we learned a lot here and just even if you putting your eyes on what this is, that helps you too. So we want to try and foster and promote an environment where we're working together here. And again, we may have answers to questions that you have, and I know you have answers to questions that I have. So I hope to see you more. And if you need something, give us a holler and we'll work together. And, beyond that, is there any more that you have?
Well,
Yep.
I know that they looked at the road, the side of the roads for, cleaning them out and, if we inspected all our tubes along that road and looked at each and every one of them, and there's something questionable that, hey, we need to get out of there before this project starts. I mean, if it's gonna fail in 5 years, I'd rather take it out now. Sam should know that. And so. Didn't somebody? Well, we've had them all surveyed, we've had them all looked at, we've got pictures of all of them and stuff, yeah. It should be located, but I'm just saying, there's one that's questionable. I mean, I need to put all the money into it rather than 5 years from now, we will cut that road out just
So
to.
it's under the assumption that their tubes are all being replaced.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
That wasn't in their contract, I don't think.
But I'm just saying, that like, that would be wise for us to check.
See, if that's the case, if that's the case, you're gonna have to allow Dave to replace some tubes and.
Yeah.
Think of the numbers. Fine.
I was just wanting to build it out there, because I just hate to have a tube going 4 or 5 years on a brand new road, gotta check out.
That's why they just, that's something that should, put in good tubes, with all the tubes, and save the good tubes out of it to put in elsewhere. There's tubes on that road you can use those without a problem. But if you're gonna build a new road, maybe,
I agree, I understand what you're saying. I mean,
exactly, you're not gonna want to go out there in 5 years and dig up a spot and put in a new tube.
But someone, who's Sam? Who's Sam?
that's the map.
Most of them on 270 would probably say that use elsewhere.
That's what I mean, that Sam, they didn't have recommendation, good shape, bad shape, take pictures, nothing. They went, just mapped them with that, they just mapped them, that's it. They mapped out, took pictures of every tube that we have, so you picture of all the tubes.
So better be good looking at those tubes, or looking at the pictures. I haven't seen one picture yet that they took, but you got them someplace, right?
Hold up on 270,
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
and maybe I want to request a plan and look, they show us. And you can get a count how many there is tubes now.
Okay,
All right.
well, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, really. Have a good rest of your day. Okay, is there anything else needs to,
And you got one for us?
no?
So I talked to Mr. Hageman, and he can't give you a final number of what they can buy on that detour, but he's thought between 100 and 125,
Oh, what?
between 100 and 125.
All right,
I didn't hear you.
Between 100 and 125.
And I would say that we had been replacing our road, we would probably have to add another chip and seal project in. With the extra traffic on it for a year, you know, I mean, what's our cost to chip and seal that road? An extra time,
It'd be 175, that's 7.5, 6.5 miles. Have to come clear out of Morrow. And he was figuring 6 months, so he wasn't figuring the full cost of it, but he was figuring $25,000 to $30,000 a mile. Kind of comes to that. That's about half of it. It's like, it's not the whole thing, it's not the whole thing. He didn't have the authority to talk to everybody. I mean, first people love him, but he had to get approval, he didn't have the authority to. And their engineer down there just quit or retired last week or something, so the guy's not there.
is we would write a letter saying road as is, that we would have to re-oil and chip and repair. And this would be our cost for maintenance of that road as it is right now. You know, not knowing that we're gonna be refurnishing that whole road and give that to them and say, this is what we would like to have for the use of the road.
Another option, he says, the box on culvert, that they could do that in 2 sections. And not have to do. On the one on 246 on whatever road that is, 280th or whatever, they have to do a shoot fly there. But on the other one, they thought it might be, depends on how much they had to pay for a detour. They could do that half at a time, so. I could do that. I think it's preferred to do all. No, I think if you get, like they said, if you get that road fixed, I think you're going to see a lot more traffic on it than what's there now.
I just keep looking at the map and the projects are tied together, but they're separate. It's hard to make everything interlock here. As far as this bid on the 270th, yeah, I guess we just need to kick it down the road again and hear the input from our road foreman on the ditch cleaning and grading. Looks like the intersection aprons and the gravel edge. I don't think we really want to tackle that on our own, leave that to the company. I I guess I heard a need there. We need to at least talk with the sheriff about getting some speeding issues maybe under control or looked at. And I mean,
They're controlling, bro.
I know they are. I know they are. Yeah, they go by my house on Sunfire pretty regular. But
We're in world. Every officer, every shift is usually supposed to hit every town if they can, at least do a town check, in all the towns. Oh, yeah, I hear. it. All, on the scanner all the time, they're doing their town check. They don't tell you if they got a label, but letters, they don't tell you the town they're in.
sure.
They do. If you want that number, you can call John, so how many town checks did we do in the last month? If they're doing town checks, they're on the laptops.
So I guess. They don't. Sometimes they used to print the speeding tickets and stuff they wrote, like it in the newspaper, but I don't, we don't do that anymore, do you?
So what happens as far as the budget, Mr. Pollock, when we take this project and the base bid and add all these add-ons and it gets up to this $1.74 million, or $1,747,000. The state share, you had what, was it 957?
Well, you,
957. So if we do it just the way they want it, 3 inches of asphalt, turn them loose, turnkey, we're coming up with $786,000, our share.
so what was the number when you added all of those together?
Well, I just quick math was $1,740,000. And that's for the base bid plus the 3 add-ons.
Well, so, yeah, so you take. I don't know. I mean, just the 1.589.
Mhm.
And you take off your 946, that still leaves 643. But you have, if we do 643. Like we have 110 million or something, 1 point,
You have that map of the fleet and all the-
we left it on the desk. So we have 1.1 million in a capital improvement. Take 643 out of it, that leaves. What? Four something? Yeah, so 457. And you're talking about a bridge on 170th. And that shouldn't. It's a $1.1 million bridge, but so we should only have to pay $100,000 on that, plus the engineering, so that could easily be $200,000 there. Is that correct? Well, they seem like it keeps adding up. So anyway, if you call that 200 million, I mean, 200,000. Then we have a bridge, we'll try to build in up there on Antelope Road. That's going to cut us pretty short. That's why I'm trying to get rid of all these add-ons that we could. I thought we could. Without the add-ons, I thought we could probably do it. Or 3 projects for that. To me, I don't see that running that machine would be that difficult.
I don't think as much as running the machine, it's fine.
I know they want to clean up their equipment, not as soon as they could for them, but
And trying to coordinate it.
You can always suspend your order for 1 year, but you just approve the oil bid.
I,
Well, trying to coordinate that with the contractor is part of it too. And it's a legitimate concern if they get weathered out. I'd like to see him try that too, but I understand the logistics of that aren't that easy. But I think looking to something like that in the future, it makes good sense to me. But trying to do the dollars when you take this entire project, in my head, that's why we went to 2 inches of asphalt versus 3. That was just money we could save. I know it cuts the service life down. But we could,
That $10 we saved on that, going from 3 inch to 2 inch.
it was just the math. We did 2/3 of this 777,000, so we called it whatever the math is.
270,000, 260 or something. wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was just math. So that made that project more feasible on the expense side. But yeah, I'm with you, Mr. Paul. I was hoping to be able to take some of these on, but I just don't think we can. I think the ditch cleaning, I think that's still possible, but that's only 38,500, which is a lot of money. But on projects of this skill, doesn't.
To me, I don't see that, the asphalt on a, what do you call it, the aprons. I don't see that that's worth $25,000. I mean, because there's only just one main intersection there. And our other chip and seal roads don't have that fancy entrance from gravel road.
I'm gonna defer to what the road foreman said on that one, and they wanted a seamless surface between the new road and the old road, and to protect the base. And I mean, I asked Mr. Heisel what he thought, and he thought, just let him do that part. And maybe I'm just gonna go with you on that, but I'm with you. I mean, I'm
They're not in here facing the taxpayers either.
sure.
So
The worst thing one of the potential pitfalls here is if we do a road project like this. And we cut a few corners to save some money and it affects the quality of the road. And I mean, we get into this all the time on our own businesses and our own lives. We try to save a nickel, end up spending a dime, and no, I'm not saying we shouldn't try to save that nickel. I just see that apron as a place where that might cost us in a few years. And so I mean, I'm gonna stick with, I think we should let the contractor do it. But do all road projects, is it this drawn out or is this a new one? I mean, yeah, it's,
Well, I've been here 6 years, we haven't done a road project like this.
you haven't done it?
No.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better then.
We haven't done any major projects like this. I mean, besides bridges, I mean, it's the main thing, big project we've had to really tackle, but, you know. But I've been talking about some roads that we need to do, but it's just funding. I mean, if we'd have kept all the dollars that we've ever set back for road and bridge, right now, we'd have no problem completing a project. But we're giving too much money back every year, every time we try to save them.
we're gonna have less next year, plus, like I said, the appraisals went down. Yeah, I know we're not gonna raise as much next year as this year.
Well, that's where we come in. Yeah, that's right. So this project, Mr. Pollock, takes your capital, takes your money and puts a pretty big hole in it. The bridges you're looking at, that we have are responsible for, are those right now bridges, or are those in the next 5-year bridges?
So,
They're in the next,
Next, so they're pretty immediate.
because some of those we have funded.
Okay.
yeah, so the 170, is that is 2026? Is that for this year?
I don't.
It's coming up.
have that,
I mean, it's coming up pretty quick. Okay,
but we
I
have,
had it all up the next, put 1/3 off the grant.
I did,
So we got 500.
I was gonna, I came up with closer than that, if we took out the ditch.
I didn't take out the ditch thing
What
because
do you have?
I just had it everything up there. I don't have it here.
This one, what's this one? All of it.
1.7, 380.
Okay.
Yeah, 57,000, 71,61.
That'd be asphalt reduction.
Yeah, that's correction.
Yeah. Yep. Our math is the same. I mean, we're approximately.
so what did you come up with?
Like $522,580 roughly with probably the project for that.
At 2 inches asphalt.
At 2 inches.
Oh, at 2 inches of that.
Yep.
Okay.
And we are gonna have the savings of probably 2 years of chip and seal. that we're going, they said it's set about 7 years before we'll have to chip and seal it. You know, you'll still have to chip and seal that asphalt to preserve it for longer. I mean. But, you know, because you want to keep that road sealed and we have cracks, we're gonna have to keep the cracks filled in.
Gotta take care of it. So you remember how many years ago they did the burn road? About 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Yeah. I can't remember, but yeah.
We got it somewhat last night, it seemed like it was still. Or I don't know, this was a change, yeah. Some of that they did some on a reservation a few years ago and it's didn't hold up, so I'm not sure how they did that, but. It was
But, you know, so there will be some savings, you know, we won't have to chip and seal those roads for a few years, I mean, for. Two rotation, so.
I'd save 3 miles. Like $25,000 a year if we did it over 3 years.
$50,000 savings. Before we have to chip and seal it, so
I don't know.
there is some.
Yeah, so. So percentage, if you do it by percentage, if you take off your inch share. If you actually do save a third. the Cost. It only cuts your life by. Well, whatever. You go. It's a little. It doesn't hurt to cut it, I guess, but still. You're not ever gonna get it back. And
The key is what we do, to keep the road longevity. We oil, chip and seal more than anything. Most counties do a rotation of 5 to 7 years on the chip and seal. We've only done 3 years. That's the reason why our roads have lasted as long as they have. Because of that maintenance we put into it.
Also makes a difference how good that reclamation holds up. If that holds up, then 2 inches might be enough. But if you didn't do the reclamation, then
I mean, they said we can just do the reclamation and put a chip and seal right over the reclamation. For the asphalt or longer plastic.
Right.
It is more like.
It's important to keep the water out of the base. Asphalt seals, it, chip and seal. Well, I mean, it won't protect it from the surface water near as well. And it doesn't tie it. That was my understanding. Of how it would be.
But chip and seal will be the next thing that we want to talk about.
But to your point, if there's cracks in the asphalt, the chip and seal covers over it for a while, but it won't seal.
That's why we have to
We need to
go along, you put the oil down in there, or a lot of times they even have to fill those cracks, get sand down, put cracks to go for a long way.
Okay, so in the interest of time here, not to quash anybody's discussion, but we're. I mean, are we gonna table it till next week again?
They're looking at that.
The ditch cleaning, or do we need to make a move on it, go one way or the other? I mean, as far as your budget, this is a pretty high percentage of what you can do.
so are you thinking 2 inches instead of 3 inches? That's your thoughts?
Well, that would give us some savings.
All right,
If we cut an inch off, that should take care of one of your bridge projects, right? That's savings.
all right,
When I looked at out here doing Prairie Road, they wanted to do an inch overlay to start with to level with it.
all right.
And then we're gonna put 2 inches on top of that. The first one is just to smooth it out. The reclamation is what's smoothing your road out. But mine has a good base, yours doesn't have a good base.
Right.
So that would be a difference. So we can go over that.
So I think when they built these roads, first chip and sealed them, it surprised me that they had an engineer designing them. I think they just went and did them. That's part of their trouble. Or not part of their trouble, but
Well, that's why things are getting so expensive, because we do have an engineer, we pay,
a lot, yeah.
and we pay for that, because they would have done what they needed to do here. That's how you got this 9 inches of reclamation versus 8. Again, this is my conversation with the engineer.
All right,
That's all based on their study, so I can only imagine, 20, 30 years ago, yeah, if I just did it, did the best they could, and that's why the base layers. Your soil samples on your Prairie Road, it talked about different thicknesses of their gravel base. I mean, they did a pretty darn good job, but it wasn't.
Think how long some of those roads been there, and been there for 60 years.
So, yeah, in the interest of time here and making forward progress, are we comfortable making some sort of decision on this road, or are we gonna wait till next week? And we still have time. I know it consumes a lot of time, but it's a lot of money, so. What's the pleasure of the group?
I think our biggest thing. Go long with the thing. It's just like we were accepting the bid as is, allowing us to drop out an inch of asphalt. When we get into the project, I'm sure that they may say, okay, we probably will work with them if we see we can do something. Like works out. We could ask them, then we could ask Brady to ask them, if we get into it, we can see we could do the ditch work, will they back that out of the contract if we accept it all?
Or will they even let us take an inch off?
They've already said yes to that,
Did they say this?
but we have to accept the bid as is.
Yeah, that's what Brady said, and then it's,
Change order.
Okay,
Yep, they agreed to that.
and then. But will it actually take a third off, or will it not take a third off?
Well, that's what Brady said, just do the math.
So
That's what
he said, so he thinks that, well,
Yeah, that's what he said.
Maybe it'd be a little bit more than a whole second fund on it. It might be more saving than what we realize. Yeah, that's a good. That answer was separate line. So you can only do 2 inches at a time. That's good. Yep. I would say that our interest in time, that I think we need to go forward unless you're going to look at the foreman first.
I keep waiting for an opportunity to actually save the county some money, and every time it doesn't work out that way. So, I believe that what you say, Mr. Limcool, is correct. That we need to make some sort of forward progress on this. I'm of the opinion that we cut it down to 2 inches of asphalt just to save some money. And it seems like the math works on that. That maybe that's a good way to save it with the reduction in service life. I'd like to see if our foreman could look at the ditch cleaning, but I don't know that that makes or breaks the acceptance of this bid. And if it doesn't create too much hassle, I would be for accepting the rest of it. And just say, hey, could you give us a little, maybe a week or so on the ditch cleaning? If we think we can do it, we'll try it. Yeah, but this totally affects your budget, and it's gonna blow a big hole in it, even if we do it cheaper, it's still 500 and some thousand. I'd like to see this project go through for a host of different reasons. I want to see what happens when you take a road. If you can get the state involved, if you take a road down to nothing and start completely over, what, is there a way we can do that in our county at a pace that's somewhat affordable? And then, let's get our crews exposed to these road projects and a new way of doing business. Let's let them see it firsthand, and maybe in the future, maybe they can do some of this other work. But it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier before you take a new project on to see it being done, and maybe this would be kind of a test case for them.
The ditching cleaning is the easiest one to do, but it's the one that has to be.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. If we give this to them, and they say they're gonna start in June, working on it. Do they want to be done by September 1? It takes them 60 days, or I don't know how long they'll take it. I don't know if they gave us an estimation.
we're taking very long, once they get going, I think. Once they have to let her out. Should have the reclamation set for a while.
They don't want it separate. People need to drive on.
So do you mean to say we leave the ditch cleaning option open, I guess? if it's possible.
Probably the toughest one for us to do, is the easiest one for us to do because of time. Time is the tough part of it,
Sure.
but it's the easiest part of the.
Mr. Paul, what do you think?
Yes, I still disagree with the aprons. I'd rather see that $25,000 saved than the. I don't know. That's the good. And does that, will they plan on aprons on every month or just? Some of those gravel roads and dirt roads, I don't see.
I think they're on the day for all road. You know, the township, that road.
On a dirt road. I agree, we need to get moving on it. If you take the inch off, then that makes a lot more people.
Having completed 100%. You want to do all of it, all of it. I think, Doug stated, it'd be nice to have this done as a complete project and have it finished right.
I don't think they're
Until
afraid,
we have the equipment, we can help with it. We don't have the equipment.
I think they're afraid to try something new.
Well, and they're reluctant to try, and I understand it, this is a big deal, and that's why I thought maybe if we have this crew come in and do it, is there any harm in having, or at least our road foreman out there just to observe for a little bit, if they have a few hours in their schedule, just to check it out when they do
One
that.
thing they're gonna keep up there every day. Check it out. Need somebody to be watching over, there's gonna be questions, there's gonna be landowners, you're gonna have questions, it's gonna have to be us. We're talking to the landowner, when the road gonna be open, what are you doing here, how come I can't get my driveway tonight, if they can get their driveway tonight.
Yeah.
So we'll have to answer to the public ourselves too. Because they're gonna call us.
Okay. All right, is there anybody comfortable making a move on this? If so,
I'll make this to be a complete project. As is, we accept the project as is, with the 3 add-on, knowing that we will be able to send the work order to change it down to 2 and to go over it. I'm not sure if we take one of these, can't make a change order and say we're gonna do something, so let's do down for it. I think that would probably work for this.
I'll double check that one for you.
I would like to make sure.
That's what he said on the. I asked.
The one thing we do know is that we are meeting Friday. So we would ask Brady if we accept everything like it is, and if we found out we have time to do with it, or they let us do that. We did. We just still have on Friday, meeting for the same month. Right? But we just would just be a motion, I mean, if they said yes, it would possibly take it off, we're just gonna make.
do you want us to just hang out and make the motion on Friday? So we'll know for sure.
that. Tammy, to find out if we can take. All right, say we can do the road, we have, maybe works out, we can clean out the ditches, we still put in a change order for us to do that ourselves. That's the only question we asked, otherwise my motion would be the same, to accept the project that we did on Friday. I take my motion off.
You withdraw.
Just because we mean Friday.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. If they look at it,
Oh, you want to.
You can ask that question. To rest on Friday.
And then the road foreman can look at the ditches better and they can do this better after that, like too.
It gives them the week to have a chance to go over everything
so we will make a decision on Friday.
on this one.
I mean, we'll put that in the agenda that the commissioners will make a decision on this on Friday. Okay.
Make it a rule.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. So everybody here and even somebody's listening, this is a big deal. I appreciate your patience because, I mean, it's just a big project and we're,
It
we
is
just
a
want to
big
do it right.
project, But I feel it'll be worth it in the long run.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I
that
tend to
road-
agree, yeah.
That road right now is terrible.
It's not a good road. No, it's not good.
at this project, it have 957,000 donated.
It would be impossible.
It's not possible, otherwise it's $1 million of capital.
It's just not feasible at all.
So it kind of, we're through from a 1.2 million to 1.6 million.
They don't get smaller, yeah.
So we get this road fixed, then they can go 120 instead of just 100.
He made a joke. Bill.
The faster they go, though, they hover at some point on the road.
I've never been that fast. I don't know.
Well, they don't touch the roads.
Exactly.
Oh,
All right, thank you very
Anyway.
much. Okay, so we'll be back on this one. Is there a? I mean, we're towards the end. We still have a work session scheduled and we can still honor that if somebody wants to come in, but. My job was to get the Washington Township signed. He was actually out of town. I'll have it for you next week.
Before they can read the bank statements and then go down.
Sure, sure. Wonderful. Yep. Is there anything else that we want to talk about?
What's any?
Oh. yeah, that,
Did you have a list or have I seen a list of the memberships that were involved in? Does that exist?
Who's the member and
Well, like the affiliations that Brown County. We're a member of this group, this group. Does that exist?
that we dropped a couple of
we dropped Natco. Did we drop anything else? We didn't drop the,
I mean, previous, I mean.
Oh, previous, right.
So that group, I was at that meeting this winter and I mean, I think they're worthwhile. They're doing some good stuff. I know a lot of people in the county, myself included, were pretty nervous, I guess is the word about that NITSE, and they were all over it. And that group combined with, individual counties combined with like Farm Bureau and some commodity organizations pushed back. And the state of Kansas was a big reason that that thing sort of faded away. I think it's important to be involved in groups like that. It just costs money. It's $5,000 every year. So I would like to see if it's possible, a list of how much money we spend on affiliations. And so I would move to table that until next week. Is that all right? What do you think?
I agree that we need some way to keep track of what's going on in the federal government. And the state government too, as far as that goes, because we don't know where every bill comes through. Maybe.
So, that they're lacking, keeping the information, send it, I know, so that you guys.
I heard her say that, and I guess my comfort level is more that you get it and distribute it. I mean, that's how I'd rather work. So,
Someone knows. They don't have this waste meeting. What's the next step? I hear an email, the Wendy Peterson, which we mentioned about who's been, the training that she talked about, so hopefully, that's. But other than that,
All we're gonna have is people that would bring it out there and throw it in the trash. That are done, it's gonna end up, some on our dumping floor bed. And there could be chances of fires, throwing stuff, solvent, being thrown in there. Being, solvent does cover it up or cover it up, it's nice, so we been. That's the fear you have, that's the fear of that back. You'll get batteries if people throw them.
I'd like to give our landfill director some discretion on what they do and do not take. You said they used oil was a big deal. Batteries, are another thing, which, batteries, to my knowledge, we just take them to the iron salvage guy and they recycle them on their own and that actually pays you.
But we're talking like little batteries, that are cell phone,
Well-
household things, because
But he was getting, he's getting some big back.
Yeah, yeah. We get those lithium batteries. I see a video of one of them burning. I mean, one took off and it shot up only 6, 8 feet in the air. And just, it's an inferno. One of those burns. And unfortunately, it's when water gets on it, it shorts it out.
So have we already signed the contract? I mean, it was dated the first. So we're sitting here open-ended now. I think Mr. Pound's concern was financial. The landfill is required to turn a profit, is what he said. And this makes it just more difficult to do it. We cost 6,300. And I think we recouped 389 of that, somewhere in the math about right. But to your point, if they don't have, people don't have a place to go with it, we know where it goes, so. Do you want to talk to Mr. Pounds again?
Yeah, I think I'll get him to put into it.
Is that all right?
Yeah. I think it's just.
Well, and he'll,
We have to, what we did at the time, we did, wasn't, we didn't have it. And then what is, you find the stuff, and you end up with a collection of it anyhow, you have to figure out if you find it on the floor.
Mhm.
You gotta pull it out.
Okay.
But, you know, we can't knowingly put stuff in there, that's why you take paint. The paint cans are old enough, they dry out, paint dries out, then we can take it.
yeah, that's something. It's not hazardous anymore. If it's liquid, it is.
That's,
Yeah, no, it didn't make sense to me either, but that's the way it works. So he might have some more, it might be good to talk to him next week.
if he found, I don't want to put to it.
Yeah, and he may have something on their building change of plans, stuff he'd like to talk to us about. So we'll schedule him for Monday. We'll do it Monday. Yeah. Okay. All right, well, that's fine. Is there anything else? No, I don't have anything. So, is there, I guess if there's no more business to come before us, is there a motion to adjourn?
Are you gonna have a,
And let's go into work session. We don't have a time limit here. Let's just say, we'll stay here for about 10 minutes and see if we get any interaction from somebody. And then if not, we'll just dismiss. So,
I move with adjourn.
I'll second that.
okay, it's moved and seconded adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.